How we doing?
Yeah.
You guys excited for the holidays?
Yeah. Yes.
The holidays are a fun time of year. It's interesting. We look back on our last 5 years of data, and for some reason around the holidays, people like parting with money more for big programs. Why do you think that is?
They got the time.
One, they have the time to contemplate. But what else happens at the end of the year? What are you starting to... it's not so much that New Year's. And New Year's is not yet. They're not in New Year's mode yet. What are they doing the last 45 days of the year?
Bonuses.
They are considering their taxes, which means they're starting to now officially say, there's not much I can do to change the outcome for the end of this year. So it's a safe time to start looking back. How did I do? And how do most people feel when they do their look back financially? How do they feel?
Probably not where they want to be.
Most people don't like where they're at. So what it does is it stirs up just a lot of what am I doing now so that next year is not a repeat? How much of this psychology should you put into your conversations?
A lot.
Hey, the year's coming to an end. How do you honestly feel? How'd this last year go? Did you make what was your resolution in January? What was your financial goal? Did you hit it? Are you on track? Why not? And usually it's because they had an intention, which we call a wish, without action. So it's what did you do to put it in action? And so good coaching would be having these conversations with people. Good coaching would be, what did you want when you started this year? How's it looking right now? Be honest with me. Where did you think you were going to be? Are you right where you thought that you would be? And all those conversations do is just allow you to have very real conversations with people. One of the things that I do when I connect with people is I refuse to talk about the weather. I can't stand superficial conversation. I can't stand talking about things that don't matter, because there's only value to be found in talking about the things that do, which means that your ability to do well at this job usually comes down to the quality of questions that you ask. Do any of you here have a collection of really powerful questions to ask people? Does anyone here have that? Years ago, I started a journal, and it was all based on collecting really powerful questions. Because I learned, for me as an influencer, I have to find a way to create impact in under a minute. Often I have to figure out how to create impact in seconds. I have 20 seconds to say something that gets the gears thinking, which means I have to ask questions that no one is asking them. And I love to collect these. And this is a great time of year for you to open up a new treasure trove of options. Wow, what did you think was gonna, and by the way, these are good questions for you to ask yourself. What did you think you were gonna do this year? Are you where you thought you would be? And here's the psychological truth. If you don't have what you thought was possible this year, because people always overestimate what they can do in a year, and they grossly underestimate what you can do in a decade, which is why successful people, they don't have 12-month goals. They have 2-decade goals. They are always asking, where do I want to be 20 years from now? Where do I want to be 10 years from now? Because you think different and you act different than the desperate person that says, what do I do to create activity in the next 30 days? The truth is, you're not going to erupt and become this crazy, successful person overnight. It's always a process of consistently doing the right things. And for them, what should they consistently be doing in 2023 if they want November a year from now to look really good financially? What should they be doing consistently for an entire year if they want their financials to look better a year from now? What do you think?
Something different depending on their situation, right? For some people, it is going to be probably going the lease options route.
Yeah, but you guys are coaches, so you have to be way more specific than that. Don't speak in principle, be specific. What does a person need to do a year from now to have a dramatically improved financial situation?
A plan.
Thank you. You got to have a plan, and I'll get really specific. Every successful financial plan is going to include elements of what? Coach. Right now, coach. What does it include?
Plan.
Saving, investing.
Who's giving you the plan? Is it you? Is it you giving you the plan? That's a really good crappy plan. That's why you're here in the situation. You don't give yourself a plan. This is the person that says, I'm tired of having excess weight on my body. I'm going to give myself a gym plan. That's stupid. You're the last person on the planet that should ever give yourself advice for something that you're struggling with. That's the loser approach, like really big L on your forehead. Don't do that. Who's giving you the plan?
Expert.
An expert is giving you the plan. What level of quality of expert do you want to go after?
10 times where you're at.
I always say minimally at least 10 times where you're at, but where I'm at, it's like you better be the best, and if you're not the best, I'm not playing. You have to be able to provide an argument that you're the best. So this is advice for you, but this is also advice of how you coach. By the way, if you're living it personally, people can feel that and they're inspired by it, and it's a lot easier for them to choose in. Raise your hand if you get what I'm talking about. So one of the questions I would ask you is, what is your plan and how convicted are you by it? Because the more convicted you are by your own plan, the easier it is for you to give powerful plans and let them receive it with enough meaning where all of a sudden it's like, oh, some people can give you information, but information doesn't create transformation. In other words, a decision that changes. Information is not transformational. Information that is shared transformationally, meaning you actually influence the person to finally get up off of their butt and make a good, better decision for themselves. Because look at what your plan is. Raise your hand if you're giving plans all day long to people. And break it down for me. Your plan for them is for them to get a what? Jason said it. Get a what? Mentor. Get a mentor. So by the way, should you be helping them understand what qualifies the influencer that you're selling for to be their mentor? Yes or yes? Yes. Should you be arguing why that is the best, most qualified person on the plan for them? Yes or yes? Yes. Good. Should you also have enough of an understanding of that influencer's game plan for them that you can convey it? Yes or yes? Yes. So it always is going to be a mentor. By the way, are you the mentor? No, but guess who you are? Why do you matter more in the beginning than the mentor? The strength of your conviction in your own personal life that is transferable to the strength of your conviction in the plan you give them is what gets them to buy. In other words, they're buying you, not the mentor. So for example, some of you in this room represent me. If you represent me weakly, then they will not buy. So you have to represent me how? Hello?
Strength.
Yeah, it's got to, by the way, should they feel that from you?
Yes.
Should your conviction be an extension of my conviction?
Yes.
Yeah. And by the way, if someone ever kind of started questioning the quote unquote plan, what would be the only appropriate response? A strong course correction. Let me help you understand why what you just said doesn't work. Would I ever talk that strongly to a person?
Yes.
Yes, and my goal is not to ignite their ego, because if we get in a pissing match, then everyone's goal is to be right and then it's over. So your goal is never to be right. Your goal is to be powerful. And it's to know how to speak and represent with great conviction. So by the way, if you want your closing rate to go up, it's going to require more conviction. And if you want more conviction, that shows in the strength of whose personal game plan. Do you have one? Can you articulate in under 60 seconds exactly what your 5-year plan is? If you can't, you better figure that out when.
Right now.
Yeah. Brad, how old are you? It's okay. It's okay.
60.
You're 60 years old, right? Like, Brad is barely entering his prime. Think about it. He's been playing this game for a really long time. He has honed his skills at a really incredible level, which means that the next decade, you should be at the absolute top of your game. Do you have a game plan in your life?
Yes.
You do, and it's reflecting in some of your numbers. Do you have a drive and a reason why you put up big numbers?
Yes.
100%. Can you articulate your personal game plan for the next 5 years?
Yes.
Yeah. I know that. I don't have to have him tell me what it is. I see it reflected in his results. Like, break this down, what we do here at the most elemental level. You persuade good prospects how to get on board with a superior plan. That's all it is. You should be showing them where their plan is weak and how you can upgrade their game plan. And by the way, you can't do that if you have a weak game plan. So if this is a job where you're trying to make good money so you can buy nice stuff, That's a sucky game plan. That's a typical industry game plan. It's a sucky game plan. Your game plan should be, what are the choices that you're making right now to increase your active income? Meaning, how do I make more money per hour that I'm in this spot than I was before? It should be, how do I take a portion of my money, delay gratification, and invest it passively so that my money is working for me? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And you should know exactly what your next move is. Who here knows what their next move is? Do you know what your next move is in the next 90 to 6 months? Next 90 days, 6 months. Do you know what your next move is? Mm-hmm. Shout it out. What's your next move in the next 6 months?
Buy 3 businesses.
Buy 3 businesses. What else?
Franchise.
Buy a franchise. What else?
Develop passive income.
Yeah, but that's not a game plan. That's a desire. I want to know, are you buying a property? Like how? What is your plan? How much money do you need and what are you doing?
I need $50,000 for a franchise and $50,000 for a real estate partnership.
Okay, that's specific. That's a game plan. By the way, you only get one crack at communicating, yes?
Yes.
Like how many do-overs do you get on the phone? When you get on, how much time do you get to make a first impression?
3 seconds.
You get one opportunity to make a first impression. When I get on stage, how many of you have seen me speak before? When I get on the stage, how much strength and conviction do I bring? Yeah, and by the way, if I don't get the response that I want from the audience, I only get one more opportunity to correct the energy, and that's the energy I get to ride with for the remainder of the entire conference. That's the reality, which sucks when you're in a 4-day event, or if you have a speaking engagement for 3 hours, and in the first 5 minutes, you could only get the energy up to 50%. It's like, in my head, I'm like, suck. I have 4 more hours of only operating at 50% with the rest of these people. And sometimes it's not your fault because some of the leads suck and some of the stage opportunities suck, right? We can't sell everyone and we're not meant to. But if you bring really good work ethic, you can develop enough skill and ability that a person really skilled at this job should be able to take most prospects and turn them into gold. Jason, what percentage of leads, that are on the full range of being high quality to not that great, what percentage can you make golden? 20%? So think about that. Every 5 times I'm on the phone with someone, I can turn them into a golden opportunity. That's something that you control because you only get to make that first impression once. Maybe you get to do it 2 times, but after that, it's over. You only get to blast the opportunity 1 time. You don't get a second time. You don't get a third time. Who can give me a really seductive opportunity after you've formed a relationship and a connection on the phone with someone? You've spent a minute or 2. Who can give me a really seductive blast of what the opportunity is and why you're on the phone with them? Go.
Well, I think it comes to self-reflection on
No,
what they
do
have.
it right now. Role play it.
Chris, where have you been the last 6 to 7 months that you wish that you would have done different?
Honestly, this year hasn't turned out exactly the way that I thought that it would have.
And I'm going to stop you right there. When you say that this last year didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to, give me more information on what that looked like.
Well, honestly, I wanted to get a business. I wanted to buy a piece of property, and I was hoping to increase my income by like another 20%.
And when you say increase your income by 20%, what is that?
It would be adding another $15,000 of income this year.
And if you were to go into the next year not increasing your income at least 20 to 30% more, how would that feel?
Probably worse than I feel right now.
Okay, and are you willing to, at your own expense, not increase your income 20 to 30% next year?
I can't let that happen.
Okay, and why?
I've got some goals, some dreams that I've been trying to get to for a while now, and they just, I'm at a job that honestly every year I do it, I just feel less passion for it.
Okay. And I talk to a lot of people who work at a job they don't love, they don't have passion for, and they have these big dreams and goals. So tell me why this next year you don't have any other choice but to raise your income 20 to 30%.
So by the way, how many of you can feel that his questions, by the way, give it up for that. He's doing a great job. Yeah. A little bit of feedback. What do I love about what Nick's doing right now? Now, I asked for him to actually pitch me the opportunity. We haven't gotten to the pitch yet, but what do I like about what he's doing?
Confidence.
How many of you can sense the confidence? There's a matter-of-factness tone in his voice. By the way, his question is always riding on the heels of the end of something that I'm saying, which tells me who's in control of the conversation. Who's leading the conversation? If your mind can't work that fast, then you got to speed up or that might not be for you, because you do need to control the conversation, and you can't do that with awkward pauses and silence. You got to do that by writing it and staying on top of it. Really good there. Hit me up with the opportunity.
So Kris, what if I told you I had an opportunity in which you could increase your income 20 to 30% this year? And we'll get into the details of what that looks like, but how would that mean for you, and what would that do for you and your family?
I mean, if I really could do it, I think it would change the trajectory that I'm on. If I could do that for the next 3 or 4 years in a row, I probably wouldn't need this job anymore.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And I want to present you a couple opportunities by the end of this phone call, in which can give you the opportunity to produce your income 20 to 30% by the next year. And it's not get rich quick, but I want you to know that there's an opportunity within the next 20 years to take one real estate deal to $4.2 million. Would that be interesting to you?
Yeah, it'd be super interesting.
Absolutely. And what if in the meantime you could have an opportunity that could double your income right now?
That'd be amazing.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay, so give it up for that. Awesome. Yeah. But I'm going to call that a 5 out of 10. Because what he's doing is he's selling me on what? What's he selling me on right now? He's selling me on the results of buying real estate, right? What's stronger than that?
A dream.
If this is a Kris Krohn lead, what is your strongest lead out? Real estate or Kris Krohn?
Kris Krohn.
Yeah, did he include that?
No.
Try it again.
Kris, what if I told you that with working with a mentor that has potentially more than 20x what you have right now, a track record of 6,500
Too
homes?
generic, Nick. Too generic. Can I try?
Yes, please.
Nick, thank you for giving me this information. Listen, I want to share something with you right now, and in the next minute, you're going to tell me whether we're going to waste our time and you should get off this phone, or whether we're going to actually have a life-changing conversation. Can I share this minute with you?
Sure.
The reason why Kris Krohn asked me to reach out to you specifically is because right now he has a handful of openings for his next real estate partner. That means that his team of 200 experts, the person I'm going to help select, he's going to work with them, and he's going to do what he's done with hundreds of other partners. If I can show you a way to work with Kris and even buy a single home, what if I told you over the next 20 years that he could help you turn that into $17 million? Tell me, how life-changing would that be?
Absolutely life-changing.
How much? Why?
I mean, I just need to get better.
Here's the reality. Kris has done this 6,500 times. He's done $2 billion worth of deals. And if I select you for this program, he's going to do 100% of all the work, because, I mean, I hate to break it to you, but he doesn't trust you to do it nearly as well. So he's actually in the partnership just going to do it for you. Does that make sense?
Totally.
But it also means that there are thousands of people that want the opportunity and only a handful get it. So I'm going to conduct an interview. I'm going to ask you some questions. I want to find out exactly where you're, and I want to know how convicted you are by actually making sure that this next year is not a repeat of the last year. Because if you get selected for this and you get all the details, there's no doubt this will 100% change your life. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So let's just start with this. If you actually got selected by Kris Krohn and his team to be his actual partner, you tell me how that would change things for you.
I mean, I could get out of my sucky job.
Pause. Was that different?
That was great.
Yeah.
Was it good?
Yes.
Or was it awesome?
Awesome.
What made it awesome? What made it awesome?
Just focus.
So first of all, there was definitely the same conviction that Nick brought in the earlier role plays. 100% he brought that conviction.
Rather than just reflecting on the numbers, there's a why behind why the numbers present themselves at the end.
Yes.
So if I could have a team of experts back me up in the process of getting to the numbers that I want to, that's going to weigh more down than the
You
actual
only get
numbers
this
themselves.
many opportunities to pitch while you're on the phone, guys. And your pitch was too short, and it lacked substance.
For sure.
It just didn't have enough. So you don't get to redo it. You're literally buying enough time to give them a 90-second to 2-minute pitch and then say, what do you think? That's all you get. So you have to perfect that part of the game, because you only get one shot to do it. And by the way, you know when you did it weak, because when you get resistance from them and answering questions like, tell me about your credit cards, what do you have in savings, 401k? Guys, those are invasive financial questions. No one's going to give you access to that information unless you gave them a big enough reason why,
100%.
right?
Yeah, totally.
So like that's something, your pitch, you've got to perfect that when you're actually doing that. Does that make sense? Yeah. By the way, when you're asking financial questions, do you ever get to lack confidence when asking for a credit card limit? Do you ever get to lack confidence when you ask for the value of their home or what it's worth, or getting ballpark on their 401ks and IRAs? Because the moment you do, what happens?
You lose control.
Guess what? All you have to do is miss conviction once on one financial question, and they choose out And all of the momentum you had, you can't recover from that. Or if you do, you're now going to be it's not going to be a rocky conversation. You can't F that up every single time over and over and over again. You have to fix that so that you don't ever do that again. You get later in the conversation, when you actually talk about their dreams, if they're an emotional person, how important is it for you to talk about the exact what they want from their success? How important is that? If they're an emotional person, it's incredibly important. If they're an oracle, if they're a numbers person, is it really that important? I'm just going to tell you right now, that is not what motivates them. What motivates them is the numbers. And so then it will come down to, do you know your numbers? Or do you shy away from that? Because with those people, you have to know ROIs, numbers, specifics. You have to be able to cite things with a high degree of accuracy. And if you can't, then they're going to wiggle out. There was a time, by the way, with Marianne, when she was not what I would call a numbers person. And I challenged her to become a numbers person. And as she has gained confidence in being that numbers person, how much has it really affected your ability to close in your results?
Oh, it's absolutely the linchpin of everything.
Because a lot of the people that I attract, they're numbers people. There are emotional people out there, there are numbers people out there. So what I'm saying is, when you're doing this conversation and you're coaching people through the entire process, you've got to bring so much to the table. You got to bring really strong energy. You got to be controlling the territory of whether you're in charge or whether they're in charge. The opportunity you lay out, you only get a chance to do it once. It's got to be boss. When you ask for financials, you're collecting a credit card number. You have to do that with total confidence. They bring up an objection. How many opportunities do you get to fix that? You just get usually one opportunity. And if you suck at it with the answer that you've been using that works 60% of the time, then you have a 40% chance of really screwing up the deal. Which means that there's like this game of constant improvement in whatever we're doing. I look at what you do here a little bit like what a magician does. A magician has to perfect their show so that it works all the time, especially if they mess up. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Has anyone ever been to a Vegas show?
Chris Angel, baby.
You go to Kris Angel, you go to any show out there, and if you were to buy a ticket and go to the show again, what are you going to see the next time? A different show? A different set of tricks? What are you going to see?
Best of the best.
You're going to see the same exact thing. They're not going to update their show for probably years, because once they nail it and they do it right, then they command the result and then they crush it every single time. You're trying to be that good at what you do, which means that you can't settle for any type of substandard response that lacks conviction or lacks the psychology or doesn't hit all the milestones that you need to along the way. Does that make sense?
Sure.
What we're really talking about here is mastering a conversation and mastering the game of influence. And if you get really good at it, it is hugely financially rewarding. And I need you to be hugely financially rewarding. By the way, the bigger the check I can write you, the happier I am. For two reasons. Why? Reason number one,
You make more.
I make more money when you make more money, right? It's set up like a really cool partnership, and it is a partnership. What's the second reason?
You like to see other people succeed.
I need you to make more money than your bills. Why?
We're on the same team.
You tell me, when someone is making not enough money to pay their bills, what are they going to do to my leads? You're going to come across desperate and you're going to waste them. If you're barely making enough money to cover your bills, then what happens to the lead and how they get worked? Meh. But someone that is making a lot more money than their expenses and has money to invest and upgrade their lifestyle and do some really cool stuff, how excited is that person to do this? That person is freaking on fire. That's an amazing partnership. I want to reward that person as much as I possibly can, mentor them as much as possible, ride long and hard with them on creating the best possible environment scenario, spiffs, results, everything is possible, which is why once you've been here for 6 months, how many of you know one of the company perks? What happens at 6 months?
You're able to get invested in real estate.
Yeah, we give you access to all of this stuff. Why do we do that? 20 years ago, when I sat in your seats and I was learning the sales conversation, I got pulled aside 3 times by Aaron Peterson and got slapped on the wrist 3 times because I was succeeding in real estate while I was succeeding at my job. And my success outside of the company was considered a distraction. And when I talked about it, it was a threat. If I lose you in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years from now, because your investments, like Marianne buying 3 businesses right now, building more portfolio, more assets, if I lose you to success, I will celebrate that victory every single time. It will have been so worth it because this game is about everyone winning. What's not okay for me is for you to play the game well enough to cover your bills and think that's okay. And have 5 years pass and have you be in a similar situation where your lifestyle always matched the amount of money that you made. I would feel bad about that. I would feel sad about that. I would way rather every single year you say, Kris, I own more real estate. I own more businesses. I'm financially better off than I've ever been. And if we're still working together, it's because you've mastered the game and it's a great use of your time. And everyone's got to have a cash cow job. Does everyone get that? Sure. Everyone has to have a cash cow. What's my cash cow? What am I doing all afternoon today? Who knows? I'm filming videos all afternoon. I'm an artist like you're an artist on the phone. All afternoon. And by the way, I have been mentally preparing for days for Monday so I can produce my best work because I'm an artist like you are. And every artist has to have a cash cow so they can feed their investments and their future and their dreams and everything we want. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So here's my advice for the holidays. We got 45 glorious days. And then after that, we have different resolution conversations in January. Your conversation for the next 45 days is all about conviction. It's all about what? Conviction. And you have to have conviction in your game plan. You have to be able to articulate to the person next to you at a moment's notice in the next 6 months the moves that I'm making that financially better my life outside of what I'm doing here in the company. You have to have that. And you have to be able to communicate it well, because if you can't, you're not going to have conviction for their game plan. Because here's what you're really doing. I'm pumped about my life, and I'm talking to you because I want to get you jacked about your life too. And I'm going to take my conviction, and I'm going to help you create a game plan so you can have conviction, and I'm going to get you what every good plan needs. You have to have the right mentor, you have to have the right action plan, and you have to execute, and I'm here to do those things for you. I've done it for me, I'm now going to do it for you. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
So guys, as we head into the holidays, especially like this is Thanksgiving this week, know that this is an amazing week for people to make financial decisions, which is why we did, well, hindsight will tell whether I'm stupid or not, but we did something we've never done before. We're throwing out a $10,000 promotion, a bonus year of Financial Genius for anyone who upgrades to 10,000 or buys at 10,000 or anything beyond that. We're gonna throw in that extra year. And so let this be, that expires when? Saturday at midnight. So get on the phone. You've got a reason, and you should have a spunk in your step, some sass in your conversations of, hey, I get to have a different conversation with you than I normally get to because we just authorized something amazing. And remember, Dolph DeRusse is part of Financial Genius. I'm part of Financial Genius. Robert Allen is part of Financial Genius. Every mentor we ever talked to is a part of this. They're all backing it. They're all 100% behind it. So let this be an amazing week. This should be a PB week for the company. This should be a PB week for you personally. And frankly, every week after, because we've opened the door to a conversation that you don't get to have except for at the end of the year. Powerful questions of where are you at? Where's your plan? How's it turned out? You're off track. Let's get you back on track. Here's what you need. Here's what I have. By the way, how many of you have, once you're here 6 months at the company and beyond, how many of you have access to all of my mentorship and programs, etc.? Team leaders, do you guys have ways of literally earning $65,000 investment clubs at no cost? How many of you have pathways of doing that? Everyone at every level here has a game plan for your level up. So make sure that that conviction is coming through. And if they ever ask you on the phone, get excited. If they ever say, well, what's your game plan? You better tell them that you have one. You better have a really amazing 60-second positive response. And you better be jacked about it, because that's how you transfer that energy onto them to get excited about their game plan. All right, guys, let's have an awesome week and win. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.